launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. On this Tuesday, we got some Tom Brady news that we'll be discussing, as always, right? We'll talk some Bolts as they get ready to host Seattle tonight. A lot of college football to get into. The Rays lose out on another player that they've been chasing in Sean Murphy. But we will begin this morning by honoring Mike Leach, who has passed away at the age of 61 and of a massive heart attack that he suffered on Sunday morning. He had been battling a tough case of pneumonia late in the season. Was kind of, you remember him at press conferences, he was coughing and whatnot. And, he had a heart condition as well. So it was, it's just tragic how it happens just so quickly at the age of 61. That's what just seems so young now. And, Mike Leach, one of the great characters of college football. I grew up in covering college football has always been a passion of mine, having gone to Florida State and my first job being in Tallahassee. Obviously, college football was king. And, the characters in the game that, I've gotten to come across, none better than Mike Leach, to be quite honest with you. I mean, obviously, I consider Coach Bowden more of a father figure and the best coach of all time. But, if you have ever spent any time around Mike Leach, and I've been lucky enough to be in a couple of what we kind of refer to as gangbang interviews, where we're just a lot of people lobbing questions at him. And he's something special, man. He's really, really something special and really super smart guy. And, from a football coach standpoint, never played college football, but produced 4 of the top 6 passers in the history of college football. Think about that. 4 of the top 6 passing seasons in college football were quarterbacks coached by Mike Leach and the offenses run by Mike Leach. And you would probably not know many of the names either. B.J. Simons, Graham Harrell, Connor Halliday, Anthony Gordon, none of these guys going on to, play meaningful football in the NFL, but he was able to take their distinct talents and produce 4 of the top 6 passing seasons in the history of the game. Very few coaches as innovative as Mike Leach in the passing game, and that's why at Texas Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State, he went 158 and 107. I mean, that's at those particular programs, which I would not describe as blue blood. To win that many games at that clip is pretty spectacular. And he was always known to veer off into some very bizarre places. And I'm sure, good morning to you, Nick Geddes, my friend here and producer. We'll have some great snippets of Mike Leach that we can listen to and kind of just honor his memory. What a guy, what a character.
Yeah, we'll be playing some of his clips throughout the show because, like you said, a character and college football to me, he's one of the reasons why it's so fun.
Yeah.
And it's sad, man. It's hard to find the words for it. Like, I don't even know him, but it feels like we kind of knew him because he was so open with, his disgust for candy corn.
Yes,
among things.
Which I wholeheartedly endorse.
And he loved the gummy worms, but it had to be the Haribos.
Yeah,
it had to be the Haribos or he wasn't going to have them. So all those great moments he provided, but even just as a football coach, the impact, and you mentioned some of it, and look at this coaching tree and some guys you might have heard of: Lincoln Riley, Dave Aranda, Dana Holgerson, Art Briles, Josh Heupel, Sonny Dykes, Cliff Kingsbury, who we saw last night. I mean, just a who's who in college football in the NFL right now. That was under his tutelage. And I believe he was also the Oklahoma the year that he was there. Was that the team that got to the national title game or was it the year after?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where Josh Heupel won the Heisman and everything. So it's hard to find somebody like that who developed quarterbacks like he did and turned guys and set records at, like you said, Texas Tech had the number 1 offense in the country when he was there.
Yeah.
And then Washington State had the number 1 country when he was there. Mm-hmm. And then Mississippi State has been taking this trajectory up and up. And here they're going to be here obviously in 2 weeks. And it's a shame we won't have his presence here.
Yeah, had a contract signing last week, and everywhere Mike Leach goes, he's the guy everybody wants to talk to because he's just so fun to talk to, and had a lot of Bobby Bowden in him. Just that very affable, kind of laid back, but you never knew what he was going to say, what he was going to do. You want to play that one right there, which is we have a little bit of a local connection in this one. Tampa Bay Trevor Sikkema, who was trying to get on the show this morning, his fiance, or I don't know if they're married yet, sideline reporter, and her name is
Alyssa Lang.
Alyssa Lang. I don't know why it veered into wedding planning advice, but it did, and he got his Tampa Bay Trey got brought into this as well. So here's a I think one of the classic Mike Leach. We'll call it rants, but I don't know, tangents. We'll call it just funny tangents. Here it is.
I know you have strong thoughts on weddings. I'm in the middle of planning one right now. Do you have any advice for me?
Who are you marrying?
His name is Trevor.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll have to set up a meeting and I'll talk to him. Okay, so where's Trevor from?
He's from Florida.
What does Trevor do for a living?
He works in sports as well, covers football.
He does what?
He covers football as well.
Really? Well, I don't know. We'll keep a close eye on it, but whatever you and Trevor decide, I would kind of keep it on the down low, which you failed to do that. Trevor was probably planning to, but you didn't. So go ahead and don't say anything else about it. But as soon as the season's over, or even an off week, go elope. Trust me on that. Go elope. Because basically every female in the family is going to terrorize you guys until it's over. Once it's over, I mean, they'll be upset for a few days, but it'll be over. And then, you cruise away, along, have a happy marriage, have a happy life.
I'll pass along the message. Thanks, Coach. Congrats on the win.
Trevor, unless he's crazy, is totally on my side. And trust me on this. If Trevor doesn't have the sense to do that, tell him to call me because, I mean, he needs to do trust. I've told all my kids, I'll give you $10,000 extra if you elope. So far, they haven't done it, but I would too.
Oh.
And you know what? He's spot on. As you well know, right? You're planning your wedding right now. As you well know. But that's just, who else is going to do that?
On the spot.
The spot, post-game interview. Like, we're not talking about a midweek sit-down, right? This is like we just got done playing a game, and this is where it's going. You got any other gems here?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we find some other ones here throughout the show. But
okay.
But yeah, that was a great one. I think here is this the candy corn one? I think this might be the candy corn.
Is this candy corn?
I think so. From last year.
We talked about on the broadcast how you hate candy corn. What's your favorite Halloween
candy corn? I mean, I completely hate candy corn. When I was a kid, gummy bears. Let's see. Gummy bears for sure.
Sour or regular?
The Haribo. It's got to be the Haribo ones. And then the other thing I like is when they used to have the sprees in a box. Outstanding. You have to go to the dollar store to find it, but I do. And then the latest, there's still candy innovation. Although a while back I found that Europe had better candy than we did overall because they have gummy everything. And then,
everything.
They have those Nerds clusters, which is new.
The gummy.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
the Nerds
really
clusters is good. And then if you go chocolate, probably Almond Joy.
Love it. Hopefully you'll get some of that next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
Classic, man. One of a kind. It always seems like the good ones get taken early, man. But Mike Leach and his Mississippi State ReliaQuest Bowl team will be coming here for the January 2nd game. So I'm not exactly sure who the interim coach is going to be. Not important right now. But I would imagine that there will be, some great celebrations of his life included in their bowl trip and in the game itself.
Yeah, it's just telling you see all the support that he's received. It's like every coach I feel like in America has had something good to say about Mike Leach. Yeah. I haven't seen a bad word from anybody throughout this entire process, and it just speaks to what he did.
Well, there will be. The reason I said that is because, in every story that I've read, they have to include that he campaigned for Donald Trump. So so there could be some hate out there. I guess that's like a prerequisite these days. But just an unbelievable dude. And man, we are going to miss him, as he just, a lot of times, especially sports itself, but college football can get just so, people get so serious, the intensity of some of these coaches, man. And you just, once in a while, you need a guy that just reminds you that, hey, man, this is just a game. It's supposed to be fun for the kids. It's supposed to be fun for the fans. It's supposed to be fun for the coaches. It's supposed to be fun for everybody. But so often we just take it way too seriously, especially when our teams lose. And we got to remember there, sometimes 17, 18, 19-year-old kids out there on the biggest stage in the world. And, bad things are going to happen from time to time. So he was one of those guys that really, really kept it in perspective. And I think it was a big part of his success to having fun, because his teams were always undermanned, but they always were well prepared and always had a coaching advantage from the offensive side. And they won a lot of games. So a hearty, it's tough to lose guys like this.
Yeah, and I hate that it had to be his last one, but at least the last victory that he had in his last game was the Egg Bowl, and got to snap that winless streak against Ole Miss. So
that's so true.
Yeah,
so true. That's the way the football coach. When you've coached your last game to beat a rival like that as an underdog, isn't that just the epitome of who Mike Leach was?
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so we'll move on to some other news of the day. Yesterday we talked about this report that came out from Mike Silver about Brady's players-only meetings Saturday nights. Which, by the way, when he went to the birthday party, did they have this meeting, or did they have it before he left? I'm not sure. But there's I guess a meeting that happens night before the game where the players get together, and then in Mike Silver's reporting, it was kind of inferred that the coaches don't really find out what the tweaks are until the next day, which seemed a little bit odd, quite frankly. But I think it underscores what we've been saying for a long time. Is I was very interested to find out, like, what is because all the heat that Byron Leftwich was taking, and you're watching this dysfunctional offense, going for scoring 30 points a game, to almost half of that, which is just unheard of when you have basically the same core of players, certainly the same quarterback. And it's the GOAT, by the way. So there's just a lot of people are just trying to figure out what the hell happened. What the hell happened to this offense? And we talked a lot about that yesterday, but I think this report we talked about as well. And I, what I've been trying to tell you is Tom Brady has nothing forced upon him. Okay. He's not running plays that he doesn't want to run. He's not going into games with game plans that he doesn't want to run. He is the man. He is calling the shots. He's calling the shots from a personnel standpoint. He's calling what plays are run. He's, the run pass difference. Certainly, everybody says, well, he doesn't want to throw it that many times. Well, clearly he does. Clearly he does, because that's what's going on. And I don't think that they're forcing him to throw the ball. I think he's, and rightly so, understands that in some ways that the ground game is awful. It's terrible. The running game is awful. It must feel like a waste of time for him to call running plays at times. But running plays and passing plays obviously should work off each other. They should be complementary. And it just seems disjointed. And to me, a lot of it, I think, is the fact that there's not another set of eyes there to say, no, this doesn't go with this. This doesn't go with that. This is why the run game is not working. This is why this is not happening. And that guy was Bruce Arians. And it was when I was told earlier this year that he has little to no input in the game planning and the running of the offense. I was like, what's he doing there? He's an assistant to the general manager. Like that seems like there's a reason why he's not. Why would you have a guy with that much knowledge in your building who just won you a Super Bowl, who is a quarterback whisperer, who is an offensive savant, not involved in the offense, and it suddenly goes from 30 points a game to 17, and we're just sitting here like, there's a dude down the hall that might be able to help you guys out, but that's not an answer. Why is that? And that's what I talk about dysfunction. Why is that?
Well,
is there personality clashes? Are there, don't want to step on anybody's toes, things going on? These are things that make losing teams lose. When you have clear opportunities to help yourself in personnel, first and foremost, like we've talked about many, many times, looks like 83 is a lot better than number one in the return game. Why does it take 14, 13 weeks to figure this out? And all the other ones as well. So you look back on this season and you just see dysfunction, bad choices, and we're not in the meetings. We're not in the game planning meetings. We're not privy to what play is being called. So it's a little tougher for us to dissect it from that standpoint. But when the outward production or lack thereof is so diminished from the year before, and there's one major piece that's taken out that could be reinserted, and you don't do that, that's just weird. That doesn't match. That tells me that there's dysfunction. And that's what this offense has looked like all year long. Dysfunctional.
Well, I've told you, it's too much noise going on right now that we're talking about all these other different things. But, I love Bruce Arians. I've been vouching for him. If he wanted the head coaching job back, I would gladly give it to him. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, and I hate to say this, but I just feel like at this point, Bruce Arians, and I'm serious. I'm in that camp where I feel like this was his leak. I truly believe that. I'm just going off of everything because when things were going bad, when Byron Leftwich, the heat of the criticism was on him, what did Bruce Arians do? He did an interview with Ira Kaufman out of nowhere. I'm not sure why he did it, but he goes out there and defends his coaching staff and says Tom was playing bad and all this stuff. Now, he might be correct in that, but it's just a weird thing for someone to say that's in the front office during the season, right?
Agreed.
I think Bruce Arians at this point probably, and I don't know how involved he is. That's obviously what we're asking, but I think he doesn't need to be with the organization. I don't think being in this assistant general manager role is good. I just don't, because I feel
Unless
like
they're going to get him involved, and clearly they don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Or he doesn't want
and
to
I just think like if this is Todd's team and you're telling me it's Todd's team and Todd's is saying your team, okay, well, you don't need to be in the building. That's the way I look at it. And because I just feel like there's all this I just feel like these leaks, it wouldn't surprise me if they came from him in the building because he's trying to save his coaching staff. And to me, that might be creating friction between Brady and what's going on here. And then you have stories like this, and it's just constant noise. I mean, this is just a theory. Again, I have obviously no information. I'm just theorizing.
The footprints are there.
The footprints just seem like they're all aligning, and that's a problem. So if Bruce Arians has to go or Brady has to go, whatever it is,
it's dysfunctional.
At the end of the year, right? It's just dysfunctional, and it can't operate like this.
Yeah. And I think if I were Bruce Arians and I was watching everything go down and this is why I've tried to say from the very, everybody heaping all this. And by the way, both things can be true. All right. Tom could be taking too much of the planning pie, so to speak. He could be doing too much in terms of game planning and play calling and being too involved, because I think you need to have some separation there between player and coach. And I think great offenses run when those two things complement each other, not conflict, right? And clearly they're not conflict. They're not complementing each other. But that doesn't mean that I don't think it's as much Byron's fault as people say. I think it's way more on Brady, to be honest with you. But doesn't mean that Byron's not a bad coordinator. I don't think he's good. I think Brady and Arians carried him the first few years. I just don't think he's that, or he would be more demonstrative or be more insistent to Tom that this is not the way to go about it. But I don't think Byron and Tom are the same age, basically. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and you kind of see like
actually, I think he might be a little bit younger.
He might be, but yeah, and you see like every time they have like these moments at the end of the games, it's like an embrace.
Right.
Like it's an embrace. Like I don't think there's any heat between him and Byron.
No.
By any means.
No. But I think, there's no healthy criticism. I think Byron is afraid to tell Tom what to do. I don't think Byron does tell Tom what to do. I think Byron is basically there to just be his do boy. And say, hey, whatever, this is what I want. Go write up a game plan for it. And I don't think that's the way it should work. I don't think that's, you definitely want input from Brady, but I think, Byron has to be the boss. And I don't think that's the situation. And I think Arians sees that and says, hey, don't be banging on Byron. This is all Brady wants to do everything
I'm
himself.
I'm not saying Brady doesn't have his footprints on this offense, because of course he does, and you'd be stupid to think not. But I'm not buying the fact that all these play calls that we've seen, just the sequencing, the stubbornness to run up tempo, and all these things. I'm not buying it. This is Brady telling these are the plays that I want to call. Go with these. I'm just not buying it, because I can't sit there and fathom the.
Well, look at Mike Silver's report. What does that tell you?
Well, I don't have to believe the report necessarily, or I can believe that this is just a leak from somebody who's trying to cover up his coaching staff.
Well, this is what I've been told is for a long time.
That to me seems
we've talked
so.
about this from the beginning of the year, and I've told you that this is not all Byron. This is way more Brady. And yesterday, I think a lot of people saw me as attacking Brady. I'm not attacking Brady. I'm trying to explain that the reason this offense is not good is because what you need for Brady to be successful, okay, is you got to have the great offensive line. You got to have all the weapons, because he can't move. It's got to be him being able to do the. And
so how's that Brady's fault though? He doesn't have if his offensive line is not there and his receivers are all banged up and gone.
But what I'm saying is Brady is playing bad. Okay,
true,
and
yes.
I think a lot of people don't want to say that, like, oh, it's not Brady's fault. It is Brady.
It's a collection of everything.
Exactly, it is a collection of everything. But so many of these, everybody wants to absolve Brady. Oh, Brady's fine. It's the offensive line. But here's the thing: do you think Jalen Hurts is probably a bad example? But other quarterbacks don't need all these things to be successful. Okay, because they're younger, they can run around. In order to have Tom Brady successful, you have to have all these things in place. And we had that in 2020 and to a large degree 2021. But a lot of those things are gone now. So my point is Brady is playing poorly, and he needs to take his part of the blame. And a lot of times he throws the ball. You've said it yourself. A lot of times he throws the ball early when he could wait an extra split second to somebody to come up more open and take a hit and deliver the football like a lot of other guys do, like he used to do in his earlier days, but he can't do it anymore because of his age. My point is you have to make a lot of allowances for a quarterback of this age and his skill set. So it's much harder to get everything in place and have it perfect because you have injuries, Ryan Jensen. You have retirements, Ali Marpet, Gronk. So it's just everything's got to be perfect because you have this quarterback. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is if you're Brady forces you to get everything else around him absolutely perfect, or it's not really going to work.
And it's not going to be perfect because in the NFL it hardly is. Let's just face it. The 2 years that we had, the 2 years prior to this, we were spoiled. That was a super team.
Exactly.
That was a super team that just doesn't come around often enough, and that's why they won a Super Bowl. And this year it's different.
It's hard to win a Super Bowl. This just in.
And if you're not going to have that pieces, well, then you have to have a coaching staff and an offensive coordinator that's capable of scheming around it, and doing things to make yourself have a better chance. And that's where they fall down. So yes, I do agree. Brady's got to play better, and he's starting to admit that now.
Yes,
and
which we're going to hear.
And we're good for that. Yeah. But I hate to sound like Byron Leftwich, but you got to play it better. You got to coach it better.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that cliche, but it is true in so many ways that's what's got to happen. I do think it's interesting though when you're looking at Brady. Is this because a lot of people are saying this is the worst football that he's ever played in his career. And I found it interesting. If you look at his career right now, this is the lowest QBR he's ever had in his entire career, 51. The passer rating, 88.9. And then the touchdowns are very low. And you know what season this is actually mirroring? Is the 2019 season. It's almost identical. The quarterback rating and the passer rating are almost identical. That year he had 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Right now he's got 17 and 5. So he's going to probably end up with the same thing. If I'm not mistaken,
Gronk was injured that year.
And Gronk did not play. Gronk retired that year.
Right. If you go back, and we said this at the beginning of the season,
you
look at Brady's numbers with and without Gronk, they're very ordinary.
They are.
Yeah. Just with that one change.
And I know, I'm like, is it really just as simple as one guy doing that for you? But I mean, I look at again, I just keep going back to the 2019 season. They had Julian Edelman, who was a 1,000-yard receiver. And not one other receiver. The second leading receiver on the team was Jacoby Myers at 359 yards.
Yeah.
That just shows you the lack of weapons that he had.
And the offensive line was beat
up. And but they still won 12 games.
Right.
Because they had
a great coaching staff.
Because they have a great coaching staff and a great defense that was opportunistic and could coach around it, right? Right. That's the difference with that team.
Belichick do last night.
Yes, that's the difference with that team and this one. where they're seriously lacking. When Brady's playing like this, there's nothing you could really do.
Right. And it's tough to coach around because, again, there aren't a lot of options when you have an immobile quarterback who's 45 years old. There's not a lot of options. I mean, we want to run these, why can't we run Kansas City's or San Francisco's play? Did you see how many bootlegs Purdy ran? Did you see how many times they rolled him out? Did you see how many, you can't do those things with Tom Brady. And again, I'm not making excuses for Byron, but this is part of it. He's limited. Now, he can't come out and say that. Right? But we can because we have a brain. And it is what it is. I think, there's so many people that just treat Brady like a sacred cow. Look, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest ever. And none of this is staining his legacy. And when I point out the things that have gone on off the field, how it has to affect his preparation on the field, it's not like I'm ripping Tom Brady. These are facts. He went through an emotional divorce, for God's sakes. And there was a lot of pulling behind the scenes even last year when clearly he was trying to get to Miami. And now people don't talk enough about this FTX thing. He's named in every freaking lawsuit. He's been, he's got lawyers that have to deal with this now, and it's not a good public look. So none of this stuff ever happened before in his career. This is all new. So again, I'm not banging on Brady. I'm just simply saying everybody wants to know what's gone wrong. Why is it so bad? Well, just look at it. Yeah, all these off the field distractions have taken away his superpower of being the most prepared player on the field. That's just obvious as can be. It's not the fact that he's not still doing the tape work. It's just obvious. It's got to affect you. All this stuff off the field, missing the 11 days, taking the birthday trip. To me, that was a self-inflicted wound. You didn't need to handle it that way. Coaching staff didn't need to let you handle it that way. All these things that have happened off the field, then the fact that you have to have a really good offensive line, which they haven't done. And I said, when Ryan Jensen went down, go out and get somebody, do the best you can. You got to replace him. They never did. And that led to Luke Gedeke having to start at left guard, which led to a disaster and him losing confidence in his offensive line. And then Donovan Smith getting hurt. And he has not been able to play up to the levels he's played the last 2 years. He's been horrible. Tristan Wirfs goes down late. Shaq Mason, I don't think he's been terrible, but he's not great. He ain't making all pro. So this offensive line is below average. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's below average. You need an above average to really good to be able to have a running game and secure that pocket for Brady. So you don't have that. You don't have Gronk. He and Evans just aren't on the same page for whatever reason. Godwin's 80% of what he was. That's a big deal. You don't have a third wide receiver that can get separation right off the ball. That's a big deal. So when you combine all of these things, it's kind of obvious, right? It's a collection of everything. But as you said, you would want to be able to coach around a lot of these things, and we've not been able to do that. And I think a lot of that blame goes on to Brady because he's taken up so much of the responsibility and not letting other eyes or other people maybe tell him what might be best. Because, as good as he is, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes another set of eyes sees things that you don't, especially when you're super close to it like he is. Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, again, in general, I tell you about Brady's play. I just think he's pressing a lot, and there's disarray around him. And because it's like, and I know it's easy to say, well, he underthrew Julio Jones. He underthrew Scotty Miller. I can't remember the last true deep ball that he completed, to be honest with you.
Oh, it was the one to Mike Evans.
Well, one that counted. One that counted.
76.
Yeah. I mean, but it's stuff like that, though. I mean, he's having to worry about his blind side. The one guy who's supposed to be a constant on this offensive line is playing the worst football of anybody on the line right now.
Right.
I mean, he's always got to worry about pressure up the middle, right? He's got to worry about Leonard Fournette doing his shuffle and stumbling over himself whenever he's running the football, and even when he's in space. He's got to worry about Rachaad White, who fumbles now almost every game. That's a thing that's happening, by the way.
Yep.
I'm not ripping on him. I love him, but he fumbles a lot.
Yep.
He's got to worry about Mike Evans not getting open. He's got to worry about Chris Godwin not being able to separate either and get open. I mean, there's just a lot of things to worry about. And I just think he's pressing to try to make a play.
Absolutely.
And when that happens, you just start to make mistakes. You start to do things that aren't you. And by the way, he can downplay it all he wants. He's not 100%, and
no,
nor would.
not.
And to be fair, nobody is at this point in the season. But at 45, there's zero shot he's playing anywhere close to 100%. And I think this hand thing, I mean, we see in almost every game he keeps hitting someone's helmet with it on a follow through.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a pocket to step up into.
Yeah, I mean,
and by the way, that makes your ball, your passes go.
Yeah, because I can't have any other.
You're not following through. You're following back,
and I'm saying that because I don't have any other rationale for how he had a clean pocket. And he truly stepped into that throw to Julio Jones.
The deep balls.
Yes, and it wasn't, what was it, like 40 yards down the field? It wasn't even like it was like 60.
No.
It's like 40 down the field, and to underthrow him like that, like that's the only rationale I can give you for that.
Yeah, and that's those are the tough throws. Those are those throws that you have to have great chemistry with your receivers. How much does he and Julio really work together on the deep ball? It probably a lot, but it takes 10,000 reps. They don't have 10,000 reps together. But
then later in the game, though, he makes that really nice touch pass to Mike over the middle of the field where Mike went up and got it, only where he could get it. Yeah. He makes the laser down the field to Chris Godwin. It's like he still has that in his arsenal. So when I see those things, it's just not as consistent. Right. It's not available to him as much anymore because of the protection not holding up. You don't have guys that are allowed to get down the field. I mean, and these are things we've been talking about all year, and they're just when you play a team like San Francisco, unfortunately, everything gets exposed.
Exactly. And that's what I saw coming last week is like, this is going to be a week, how do you lose to the Panthers? How do you lose to Pittsburgh? Okay, well, wait till you play the 49ers. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
And, when you got this just in, here comes Joe Burrow. Here comes Joe Burrow and
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase is healthy now, and T. Higgins. I think Boyd might be out. But they are explosive. Is Mixon coming back? I haven't been able to check.
I'm not sure. I know they've been dealing with a lot of injuries, but even then last week, I mean, Joe Burrow was thrown to this one. I can't even think of his name right now. I've never even heard of him, and he caught like a long touchdown. He was thrown to a bunch of Joes yesterday or the other day.
Every team gets injuries. Every team gets retirements. Every team, but again, when you have quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes and other guys, there's other ways to scheme things up. And it's not to say that those guys, those guys are better than Tom Brady right now because Brady just doesn't, he's not going to be able to carry a team like maybe he once was. I don't think he ever really carried a team. You had to have those things around him, and Belichick knew that. And he got, of course, he's never had, other than Randy Moss, it's these super talented guys, but he was always able to put it together with the coaching staff.
Mixon, by the way, he did play a lot this past week.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, this is, I don't see them beating Cincinnati. I obviously now Kyler Murray is out. They can win the game against the Cardinals. They can beat the Panthers. They can beat Atlanta. They can beat those teams. But what I see now is a very fractured team. How do they pull it together? There's just no positive energy.
And I think honestly, and this sounds weird, it's like if you lose the next two games, we're all going to freak out, and they're going to be 6-9. But I think they already did the math. They did the math on it. If the Bucs just win those last two home games, no matter what, or those last two games rather, no matter what.
Well, if Carolina wins out, then they'll, of course.
I think if the Bucs win those last two games,
I think
by the math, the Bucs, no matter what, are going to get in. So really, you're playing for those two games. I think. I mean, I don't think you can beat Cincinnati. Listen, I understand Arizona's like 1-7 at home. And now they have to go to Colt McCoy, but I just saw a backup quarterback destroy the Bucs, and I'm just saying I have PTSD of all these backups just killing the Bucs.
Yeah.
So I would have, in a weird way, rather have just taken my chances with Kyler Murray. I just would have.
Not with
so
this
I'm not.
Defense in this second.
I'm not guaranteeing anything on Christmas. It could get wonky. Who knows?
Isn't it weird that I was saying the defense? I'm scared of the defense now. Against good quarterbacks, I think.
Well, look
at
the
Joe
injuries.
Burrow's,
This is bad.
Yeah.
You can only go so long. I said without Antoine Winfield, without Mike Edwards, without Sean Murphy Bunting. Because I mean, even if we rip on Sean Murphy Bunting, he's a hell of a lot better than Zion McCollum and Dee Delaney.
Yeah,
he just is, and Keanu Neal for that matter, who really is not even. He's more of a linebacker. Let's be honest.
He needs to be a linebacker. He's a much better linebacker than he is a safety. But he's one of the few guys that are actually making plays. He's giving up plays, but he's making plays too. Yeah. That first play, how do you not go for the strip there? The ball is right there. He doesn't see you coming, and yet your instinct is to wrap him up. How is your instinct not to take two hands and just rake?
That's been the story of the season.
When Bowles says, we coach it all the time. We coach it all. If you're coaching that all the time and you called that play from the very beginning, did you not tell him, hey, listen, if he doesn't, hey, don't forget, you're not looking. And the first thing you want to tell Keanu Neal is because you know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Don't go for the kill shot. Strip the ball. The ball is more important than the kill shot, and you'll probably get penalized anyway if you hit the quarterback hard. Duh. So go for the strip. Like, that's got to be ingrained in your head. And to me, that's coaching. That's coaching. Because I don't care how, and that he's a veteran player. But if you're the coach and that's your call, I'm walking over to you 5 times before the game and go, bro, remember, no kill shot, strip the ball. No kill shot, strip the ball. No kill. Like, I'm walking back 5 minutes later going, no kill shot, strip the ball. That's what good coaches do. You see it all the time. They know, especially when a player is predisposed to kill shot, right? That's coaching. And I still think they lose to the 49ers, but wouldn't it be nice on that play to get a strip sack, a strip shot, scoop and score, and now it's 7-0.
Well, that's what I told you. Like,
right.
You got your ass kicked. 35-7 is 35-7, and we can talk about the penalties all we want. But there's plays in that game. That one and the Donovan Smith hold early on when the game was still right there in front of you. You just never know.
The Anthony Nelson interception that gets negated.
And to be fair, that call was just brutal.
Terrible call.
But
those are losers' limps. That team is so much better than you. They would have found a way to come back and kick your ass anyway. But to me, that's more of a coaching point. If that doesn't happen in the game, in that situation, the first play, you've dialed up a safety blitz. You're not coaching it right.
Yeah.
You're just not coaching it right. And Keanu Neal's got to be better too. It's all of it. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Todd Bowles. Interesting press conference yesterday. And Tom Brady on his podcast last night, finally taking a little bit more responsibility. We've seen that a little bit more in these past weeks. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is when we come back. We're brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Emerging IMV, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency. If you have an issue with your spouse, an unruly employee, a criminal matter, anything you might need a PI for, they are the greatest folks in the world. Just call them up. Rachel will answer the phone. Family-owned business. They know what they're doing. Just really, really good folks, and they'll take care of in these important matters for you. Get trusted information at emerginginv.com is their website. All right, back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or italianoinsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If your car has been totaled in an accident and you don't think what you got was the right amount of money, you probably are correct, because insurance companies do this all the time. So it's a free consultation with the Jeeves Law Group. Just give them a call at jeeveslawgroup.com, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Tell them JP sent you, and you may have a case. It's a free call. So you might have some money laying on the table out there. Why not go get it? Right? It's that time. Do your Christmas shopping with a few extra hundreds or thousands of dollars. You never know until you call. It's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments here if you wanted to get to some of them before we get to some sound.
Let's do.
I put up this one
we
here.
Love our commenters.
Put this one up here from Randy Cobb asking a question. Was Purdy really that good, or is this defense that bad? A couple weeks ago, PJ Walker did the same exact thing. And I'm thinking Tom is thinking he can't get out of here fast enough. Was Purdy that good? He played really well, but that is a quarterback-proof system, and he's exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants to make it work.
I hear you say that, and it is a very quarterback-friendly system. But the kid is good. The kid is good, and the kid elevated Iowa State for 4 years.
Yeah, but
he's. Did you see the play he made on the bootleg to Shoyinka and hung him out to drive a first-round pick? Did you see the run that he made for the touchdown?
Yeah,
great instincts, good speed, nice move. Faked Devin White, supposed to be this elite linebacker. He faked him his jock out. The dude's he's savvy. He reminds me a lot of Drew Brees back when he was young and he could run around. He's not the biggest cat in the world, but he's got moxie. He stands in, he delivers the football. Yeah, I think he's a good player.
Listen, I wish nothing but success for Brock Purdy. But who do the 49ers play this week? I'm not even sure. But I'm willing to bet he will not do that like he did against the Bucs. I'm willing to bet.
They have, I know this. I bet he will.
I bet he won't.
I bet he will.
I bet he won't.
All right. Well, let's see what the defense is.
Let me get I got their schedule up. Mm-hmm. Seattle on Thursday night.
Oh yeah.
Short week in Seattle.
Short week. Ooh, for a new quarterback, that's a little tough. They're gonna have a very basic game plan, so it's gonna be a lot of run. He won't be the reason they lose the game, I don't think.
I think he's dealing with
it's on the road, right?
It's on the road. He's got some kind of oblique injury too that he's dealing with.
Okay, so maybe that's not fair to judge him on that. Going on the road to 12th Manville, Seattle. Although, listen, people think that Iowa State, he's playing in front of like 10,000 fans. No, they pack the place every week.
Yeah,
it's a big deal up there. I'm not saying it's Seattle NFL.
No, they had some play. Like he was there. What's his face? Brees Hall.
Yeah,
was his running back. Matt Campbell, good coach, and those two receivers the one receiver, Hakeem
and a
Butler.
tight end too, right? I think there's a tight end involved there too.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of Hakeem Butler was like a 2nd round pick in 2020. Didn't really do much in the league, but still, they had a lot of talent there.
Yeah, I think Purdy's good. And to answer your question, I think Purdy's good. But I think this a lot of that is scheme. And like Bowles got out coached again. He got out coached again. And I think there were a lot of busts too. But that's part of coaching. You got to get your team prepared. And why is this defense suddenly having, Todd Bowles has run this deep. This is another thing that's kind of odd because, from a point perspective, the Bucs defense has been really good, right? Mm-hmm. But they haven't gotten any turnovers, and they've been like top 3 in turnovers gotten since Todd Bowles has gotten here.
Yeah.
And you don't want to talk about the same stuff. It's the same guy, same core, same coach, same everything. And you're getting 0 turnovers and not a whole lot of sacks or anything.
They can't get a 4-man rush. They can't stop the run, and they can't get turnovers. Oh, and they're injured a lot.
But they're what? Still top 10 in points allowed.
But again, though, I've always felt they were kind of pretenders because they faced a lot of Carolina, the Steelers, the Browns, like they faced a lot of bad offenses. The 2 great offenses they faced, how many points they given up?
Well, Seattle was a top 5 offense when they played them, if I'm not mistaken.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And Geno has been in the top 5 of quarterback rating.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. They played well there. But the Kansas City game, completely outmatched.
Yeah.
In San Francisco, completely outmatched.
Yeah. Against
the 2 great offenses they faced. Barring week 1 was against a good offense, but the Bucs at that time, the defense was completely healthy and was firing on all cylinders. So there was a completely different team.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a whole lot of tape on how bad number 9 is and some of the other weaknesses that that this team has been exposed to defensively.
Yeah.
Clarence Timmons, sorry, Your Honor. Smells like they have a beef talking about Arians and Brady. People tell me that they're friends and they play golf together, and
who knows?
It doesn't really seem like it in other ways. If Brady stays next season, do you think one of the conditions is he picks the new offensive coordinator? Well, he and Byron are tight. Again,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think that he hates Byron or thinks Byron's doing a bad job. Because you know why? Because it's him.
Well, he's never going to throw a coach under the bus.
He can't. It's him.
Yeah.
He's making all the decisions. Come on.
I don't know, but if you listen to everybody that's been obviously well connected to the team and everything, I mean, and Scott would tell you too, and we have him on at some point this week. Like
he'll be on tomorrow.
Yeah, and he believes that Byron is literally there's nothing stopping him from being out the door this year.
Well, I would agree.
But it seems more likely that Bowles, unless Bowles completely loses the last 4 games of the season, he's probably going to return.
I don't think Brady's back. I don't think Byron is back. I don't even think. It depends on what happens the last 4 games of the season.
If they lose the last 4 games, he's not coming back.
No, absolutely. You can't bring him back. And if they make the playoffs and get absolutely obliterated in the first game at home, I think there's also a chance that you make a change because Brady's not coming back. And you have to ask yourself as an ownership group, is this coaching staff that we want to rebuild this franchise?
Well, if you're the Glazers, you need to,
because your defense is still pretty good.
Yeah. And I want to think that the Glazers are plugged in to what's going on around the league and the trend of having, young offensive head coaches and a young head quarterback rather to pair with him. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the blueprint for success. I think at this point, I'd like to think that they're aware of that.
Somebody hit me up on Twitter and asked me about the Harbaugh-Anthony Richardson combination, which we talked about yesterday. And it's intriguing. I'm not going to lie. It's intriguing. I mean, he strikes me a lot like a Colin Kaepernick. And these guys went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With that offense.
Yeah, it's Anthony Richardson
and Harbaugh is as quirky as he is.
He wins games.
He's a winner, and he won in the NFL. So it's not like you got a college coach coming to the NFL who hasn't been here and had success.
Yeah,
he's had success. I mean, of all the scenarios that I can think of, that one sounds the most fun.
It is.
If nothing else, after watching, Brady, especially this year, stand in the pocket and just get obliterated.
You need somebody that can move.
Oh, and that dude can move. And I'm not here. Listen, Anthony Richardson is not ready for the NFL.
No,
not from a level of he's completely inaccurate. He's hot and cold. But I kind of feel like if anybody's going to coach him up and make him good and effective in this league, it's Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I mean, that does not seem like a Kaepernick Harbaugh Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and I can see it. And I know that these two, I'm thinking of 2 guys in my head, and I know these 2 guys, they had longer college careers and far more successful. But like people said the same thing about Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields.
Yes.
Couldn't throw.
Yep.
But what could they do though?
They could run.
They could run.
Yeah.
And when they got, offensive head coach and they got, a good receiver next to them.
And by the way, if
change
you
a
were
little
paying
bit.
attention, the Bears for about a 6-game clip while they were healthier, and Justin Fields, they were scoring 30 points a game.
Yeah, and he was running all over the field,
Yeah.
and he was starting to improve a little bit as a passer as well. So, to me, that's the blueprint that I would look for in a quarterback.
That's where the game's going.
It is.
That's where the game's
The Bucs
going.
have never had a guy like that ever in their time as a
Can you
franchise.
imagine a Buccaneer quarterback? Jeff Garcia could run around a little bit.
Yeah, and Jameis could run clumsily.
He's the Fred Sanford, of running quarterbacks. But we've never had a really.
Hey, Josh McCown was a sneaky runner.
He was.
He was a sneaky runner.
He was. And we had Josh Johnson for a little bit, who completed a pass the other day. No, we've never had a scat quarterback.
We've had guys running for their life.
Lots of those,
like Josh Freeman.
Lots of those. But this cat is a whole different deal, and he'll probably be there in the draft when the Bucs pick whether they make the playoffs or not. I don't know. That's going to depend.
It's so far down the line, but I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. Like last week we were saying like, let's not worry about Brady's future. Let's just take it all in.
We're all in now.
Well, now we're all in because this team, it's just a pair. They're going nowhere, and a rebuild is coming.
Yeah, I mean, is there? I was trying to think about this while I was watching the second half last night, rewatching it, and I'm trying to think: is there a pathway here for this team to turn the corner? And I've just, I'm searching, and yeah, Ryan Jensen could be coming back, but I think Ryan Jensen was going to look at this team, and I think the team itself was going to say, if we have a legitimate chance to make a run, then let's give it a try. Because he's, I've been told that he's working with stem cells, avoiding surgery, trying to get back, which has never really been done in an NFL, as far as I know. I think it's probably been done in a lot of different ways with surgery, but without surgery, I can't remember anybody doing it. And we don't know how significantly the tear was in his ligaments because the swelling still hasn't gone down for Ryan Jensen. But so, yeah, move Hainsey, now your pocket improves a little bit. Maybe you get, obviously, Donovan Smith is hurt and he can't play. At this point, why not put Brandon Walton in? It can't be any worse. And for some reason, Brandon Walton turns into, the second coming of Nick Leverett, who was way better, right? And was more effective. And then, suddenly the offensive line is holding up. Tristan Wirfs comes back. There's a lot of ifs and buts, candy and nuts here, boys, ladies and gentlemen. And, you've even said that Julio's on the come a little bit. Maybe they've realized that K. Dotton is a much better player. Maybe 83 becomes your number 3 receiver and starts getting open and making plays. Ever think about that? Devin Tompkins? Yeah, I'm going off the reservation here, folks, but I'm trying to give you a pathway to some type of offense, right?
Here, I'll give you the
secondary
hope.
Comes back.
I'll give you the hope right here. I saw this graphic yesterday.
Okay.
Biggest losses of Tom Brady's career. Listen to these. 31-0 in 2003 to the Bills. They went on to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
41-14 to the Chiefs in 2014.
Remember that.
He won the Super Bowl. 38-3 against the Saints in 2020. We remember that.
We all remember
that. He
won
the Super Bowl. And his fourth biggest loss, the San Francisco 49ers, 35-7.
Well, I'm more
putting it out there.
I'm more familiar with the 38-3, right?
Yes.
And that was a team that was still in development, right? And still working on, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was before the Chiefs game. Yeah, obviously, because they didn't lose after that. They were still, but you saw the pieces coming together, right? Mm-hmm. So I had hope for that team. This team I have no hope for.
Yeah, I have no hope.
Because of the coaching staff.
Yes.
That coaching staff I felt really, was going to be able to get it done. It just really felt like a team that was still finding its way, but had a chance
because they had the parts.
Yeah,
this team doesn't have the parts,
and it was a team that was together chemistry wise, right? You really felt that team. They, it was Brady's first year. They were all in. It was all kumbaya, and things were still working. Even when they got blasted, you were kind of like, okay, look, we're still figuring it out, right? We're still figuring it out a little bit. But does that feel like this team? No. This team feels fractured. Evans and Brady arguing on the sideline. You got you just nobody is, even when they do something good. Like Russell Gage said earlier in the year they weren't having any fun. This team is no fun.
I keep using the word noise. There's not a noisier team in the league than the Bucs.
Yeah.
I don't follow every team closely, obviously, but I can't imagine there's as much noise as there is around this franchise.
Yeah. So Lee, if Brady stays, I just don't see him staying. And if he does, I mean, some people were making the case on Twitter last night that he would stay and get a new offensive coordinator, and all these guys come back and they put the band back together. Does that really feel like something that's going to work?
No, because they can't put the band back together. They're $47 million over the cap.
Right.
They can't put the band back together.
That's another good point. Yep. Joe F says, so you trust this coaching staff moving forward with rebuilding or bringing in a vet quarterback next year? No, I don't trust this staff.
I don't trust a single staff in Bucs history to ever do a rebuild, except for one, and it was Tony Dungy. I don't trust a single one.
I would agree with that. And
there's no history that shows you anybody could build anything.
And I'm sorry, again, I love Todd Bowles as a coordinator, but he has proven to me that he is not a good head coach. And I don't see, I mean, do you think he's magically going to become a better head coach next year?
No, we're 80 games in his head coaching tenure.
Yeah.
This is in his career. This is it.
It is what it is. Some guys just aren't cut out for it. And that's not,
but that's what I'm saying.
The dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Few people on this planet that can do it very well.
That's what I'm saying. He's in this position because of Bruce Arians.
Right.
And this coaching staff is here because of Bruce Arians. And I'm just saying, if Bruce Arians is not, you just got to go. We just got a regime change. All of it's got to go.
Todd Bowles.
That's just what I'm saying.
Todd Bowles has interviewed for a lot of head coaching jobs the last couple of years, and he hasn't got any of them. And I think there's a reason for that.
Just like there's a reason why the Jaguars said see ya to Byron Leftwich.
I thought it was the other way around.
I don't think that's true, based on what I'm seeing.
Well, they offered him the job. He said no. That was the story.
But speaking of, I saw a report. Did you see this?
There might be a little bit of regret in that.
A little bit. Did you see that story, by the way, by Brady Quinn?
No.
Brady Quinn, I guess, was on Sirius XM or whatever, and he's starting to hear rumblings, I guess, that Brady and the Bucs were really hoping that Byron took the job for Jacksonville.
Well, does that shock you?
Not really, but I don't know where Brady Quinn's getting his information from. But
I don't either.
But it's interesting he did put it out there. So there is rumblings now that this was like a thing.
So Brady didn't want Byron?
That Brady didn't want Byron here, and they were hoping that he would take the head coaching job at Jacksonville. I saw it, it was a Joe Bucs fan article that he wrote yesterday.
It doesn't shock me. I mean, but that would not shock me.
No.
But again, that leads to more dysfunction.
Yes.
So why is Byron here?
Yeah.
If Brady didn't think he was the best man for the job, why is he here? Because because Arians as a condition,
Bruce Arians.
Because as a condition of his stepping down, but that's what Brady wanted.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, if Bruce, this is, to me, this whole staff is Bruce. This is Bruce Arians' staff, and I'm saying if he's not the one that's in charge of it, if he's not at the helm,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and he needs to go, and they all need to go.
Yeah,
everything needs to be moved on. Then.
This is not. I mean, and what's interesting is we have a couple of examples of trying to do what the Bucs are doing. Right? Look at the Saints. The Saints, they lost their head coach. So what did they say? We're still a good football team. We don't want to make a lot of changes. So let's just elevate our defensive coordinator, who's really good and we want to keep.
How's that working?
So we'll just elevate him. He'll be the head coach. We'll have the offensive coordinator that's worked under Sean Payton forever. Just step right in. It'll be seamless. Seems like it works. Yeah, no.
When does it ever work?
I'm trying to think of any time where an assistant has taken over in a situation like that and it's worked. And I can't remember any of them.
The only one that I can think of that's worked is in the college side when Urban Meyer gave way to Ryan Day. But even then, Ohio State fans are calling for his head right now because he can't win a big game.
That's right.
When does it work?
Not often. Not often. The man it seems like, or when they elevate the interim guy. Well, you know where it worked? Clemson. Dabo Swinney.
True.
Dabo Swinney.
And it's interesting to see will it happen with Carolina because they seem to be rallying around Steve Wilkes.
They do.
They do. People think he got unjustly fired after 1 year in Arizona because of the whole Kingsbury experiment, which has gone sideways.
And I think that's fair.
I think it's fair. Do they do it, or do they say no? We need to go in a whole different direction because Steve Wilkes was never our candidate here.
Well, I'll say this. You've got a nice sample size of how this team has reacted with him.
Yes.
And they went out and kicked the Bucs' ass.
And they might vouch
for him. They
physically
kicked the Bucs' ass. That was a team that said, you know what, ownership, you want to get rid of all of our players? And you don't think Steve Wilkes stood in that locker room and said, look, turn the cameras off. I don't want the owner to see this. They may be tanking.
Yeah.
We're not tanking. Now, every man in this room, we're not tanking. They can take CMC away. They can take Robbie Anderson away. But I believe in every one of you guys in this room. And I think you can go out and beat this Brady bunch. And I know that you can, because they're not a physical team. We can knock their D in the dirt, and we'll take this game from them. You know what they did? That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Do you see this Buccaneers team playing with that kind of fire for Tom Brady when he went out for his homecoming?
No. And that's a problem too. This whole aura about Brady that everybody plays harder for him.
I think that's
I'm not seeing it right now.
I think that's kind of waned.
I'm not seeing it anymore.
I just, I'm not. If I were a teammate of his right now, you don't think that there's a little bit of me that would be going, look, you're the GOAT. We won a bowl. I love you, man. You're the best to ever do it, but this ain't working. This ain't working. I mean, I don't know. I think there's probably a little bit of that. I don't think that anybody would ever say it to his face. What else we got? Mary, I think that's pretty much. JTS stinks. That's a miss. No question about that. That was a miss. Got to get healthy. Absolutely. There's so many teams that are injured right now. Brady would stay because he knows the team is good, and if they upgraded OC, they will be much better. Again, he's the one that wants Byron around. And again, what OC are you going to hire? Brady wants all the control. He's got most of the control. This is not, if you hire an OC, and you know what? It's going to be has to be one that has a lot of gravitas that can come in here and tell Brady, I'm running the show. You play, I coach. That's how it's going to be. You think he's going to be okay with that? No. Sorry. I
don't know. To me, enjoy your last 4 or 5 games with Tom Brady. Yeah. That's it. Hey,
listen, this is a great opportunity, honestly. This is a great opportunity for Todd Bowles to rally this team, right? It's a great opportunity. I want to see you do what Steve Wilkes is doing. I want to see this team be better than the sum of its parts.
Is it going to take, by the way, is it going to take the Panthers beating the Steelers this week and the Bucs losing and being out of first place finally for the first time this year? Is that what it's going to take?
No.
For anybody to wake up?
To wake up? That team's not waking up. They've had all the player meetings.
That's what I'm saying. They've had every chance to wake up, but this entire time it's been with them in first place and them always saying, well, it's still ahead of us. Well, if you lose this game, all of a sudden everything that's ahead of you is a little bit ripped away then. Yeah. And then you really got to turn the urgency brakes on, or the urgency on.
Let me just lean on my 25 years of experience of covering the Buccaneers and 35 plus years of covering sports. Okay. I've covered a lot of teams. And there comes a time when you see the team is fractured, belief is gone, and guys are making business decisions. That's where the Bucs are right now, to me. I see a team that is fractured. They're just not playing for one another. There's no joy. There's no fun. It's drudgery. It's just a lot of the same stuff. I don't see a coach that has a personality or have you seen Steve Wilkes in some of these press or these locker room moments?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that remind you of Todd Bowles in any way?
No.
Do you see this team playing with extraordinary effort? Your quarterback said your game day effort is embarrassing. That's the mark of a team that doesn't believe in their coaching staff, that's playing for themselves. That's what that is. And so do I think there's a chance to turn it around? No, not unless you make a bold move and bring somebody in to run it, be the new head coach, be the new OC, be the new something. But that's not happening. This team needs a different voice. There's no doubt about that. And it's not happening. That's not happening. So hate to say it. Vita Vea going down hurts a lot. Oh, absolutely. I said this yesterday that, the reason I thought the Bucs were going to get run was because of their lack of physicality. And with Vita Vea out, that defensive line, no shot to stop the run. Leo says he's acting like this team still has elite weapons like Gronk and AB in the same O-line. He's delusional and thinks that you can just pick players and place them and nothing changes. Look, are you talking about Brady or are you talking about Byron? Again, this is not all on Byron. And I do think that Brady is trying to run an offense without the parts that he needs, and the both of them are. And I don't think it matters who really is at fault. To be honest with you, it's a collective, and they're not getting the job done. They're not getting the job done. What else we got? Anything else that you saw that we want to put up here? We've seen the same thing all year long. Nothing has changed, so I have no faith that it will until they get rid of some of the coach. Exactly what I just said. Absolutely, 100% agree. The only team that will sign and pay up Brady is Kraft. Yeah, there's a whole lot of talk of him going back to New England. I don't see that. I think that relationship with Belichick is gone. Is it not? I mean, come on. And by the way, who's the OC?
Clown show.
Well, actually, that would
clown
work.
show.
Brady wants to be his own OC, so actually that would work.
That is a clown show in New England.
Oh, my God.
There's two guys. Did you see him yesterday? Patricia and Judge. They're just kind of looking at each other with their little play. I don't know what's on those play sheets or whatever.
Did you look? Did you see, like, Patricia? He was just like, and if you're listening on radio, you can't see this, but he was just like, have you seen a person less confident in what they were doing? He looked like a guy, carrying a tray of nitroglycerin. The old cowboy movies, where they're like, if you shake it too much, it blows up. And they're like, he's just like, his hands are shaking. Quarterback's waving him off, dropping F-bombs on him.
You know what?
How do you not have an offensive coordinator with
what's funny? They had 35 dropbacks yesterday, the Patriots. And I learned yesterday the Bucs have been passed. The best play action team in the league is the Patriots now. And they had 35 dropbacks yesterday. And guess how many plays were play action?
How many?
3. There's coaching malpractice all over the place, man.
Wow.
It's all over the place. Also, but yeah, if Brady goes to New England, who's he throwing? I mean, who's he throwing to?
All right. This is the funniest thing ever. Thomas, I love you, brother, but Glazers have a 5-year, $25 billion contract extension on Bowles. No way to fire.
Well, listen,
they're about to make $7 billion.
I was going to say the Glazers are going to have some newfound money to pay off all that debt and then to reinvest it into the Bucs. They'll be okay.
Yeah, they can hire a new coaching staff.
Yeah, that Jeff Bezos money is going to look good.
Yeah, you think Bezos is going to hire?
God, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope
Man
so.
United fan?
I don't care about doing it the right way. Just put all the.
Well, you know who owns the Washington Post?
Is it Jeff Bezos?
Yeah.
I could care less.
We're going to have to write a story. Why does Man United not have more black players? If you missed the Washington Post, they came out with an article that had a big headline. Why does Argentina not have more black players? And somebody responded, because we're a country, not a Disney movie. Well,
I don't know.
And what the percentage of population of black people in Argentina is like less than 1%. And they had to write a correction in their piece because they didn't realize that there are hardly any black people in Argentina. Look, soccer is a meritocracy, folks. Sports in general is a meritocracy, which is why people don't complain about the NFL being 80% black. Okay, it's 80% black because they're better players. And it's meritocracy. It doesn't matter. By the way, it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, brown, or whatever. That doesn't affect your ability to play. And I know people say, well, it affects who gets these chances. In some isolated incidents, that may or may not be true. But for the vast majority of sports, it's a colorless place, thank God. And it's a meritocracy. If you can play, you should be the one playing. And so, and I know that's not 100%, but for the most part it is. And you look stupid, Washington Post, when you're trying to drudge up racial division by having stupid stories like that. So, it's like our Latinos, we have to classify them differently, a different race than white and black. And how about we just don't label? How about we just call them human beings and we treat everybody on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That sounds like a great idea. Really good idea. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll talk a little Rays baseball. Woo! There, making moves.
Are y'all ready to meet the largest signing in history? Are you ready to meet him?
Isn't this funny?
Speaking right now.
Wow, look at that. Look at that great graphic that the Rays put up. I'm so excited for Zac Efron, that the signing of Zac Efron that dude can sing. He's really talented. I can't wait to see what he does to help out this game presentation. It's going to be much more exciting at the Rays Tropicana Field. Am I getting the name wrong? Well, we're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group. We'll be back in 3. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations. Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call. 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others. 888-325-0605. Oh, 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 Merry Christmas. Santa Claus here for the Gold and Diamond Source. All right, it's JP. The holidays are the best time for engagements, right? And where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? They have the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. So avoid all the mall madness and the parking and all that BS and stay local, right? With the Gold and Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub are the family jewelers, and they'll treat you like family. And, of course, they do so many great things in the community. I was just at their Hands Across the Bay, a charity event. So many people stepped up to give money for these women that have been victims of domestic abuse. It is something to behold when these women come forward and talk about what Julie and Steve have done for them. And the Gold and Diamond Source funds Hands Across the Bay
and so many other great companies jump in. That's what it's all about, community, right? So let's keep it local for the holidays. If you want a perfect gift for the holidays, you should check out the unique and beautiful handcrafted jewelry from the Emilique and Julieve collections that feature fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry. And don't forget, for the holidays only, 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. It's a no-brainer for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and the Jeeves Law Group. And by the way, if you're getting into Christmas, right, we're going to eat poorly, it's going to be, we're going to gain weight, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Go have fun for the holidays. Do what you got to do. But then after that, BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, great place to get a personalized plan for losing weight. All right. Get your nutrition information. The more you learn, the more you know, the easier it is to stay away from bad things. And we'll give you strategies for eating at the holidays and everything else that will help you avoid gaining that weight that takes so much time to get off. Right. Just, if you don't gain 10 pounds over the holidays, it's a lot easier to not have to take it off. Right. So, 2 or 3 is not going to kill you. You can get that off. But if you go overboard, not so much. So Bay Area Modern Medical Center, great place. Chris Lugo and his medical team over there will get you right. So make an appointment. They'll do appointments after hours. Everything is personalized, and that's what makes them different. They'll spend time with you and make sure that the advice that you're given is specific for you. So many places just do a one-size-fits-all, quick fix type stuff, especially with weight loss. It never works. So go to Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Tell them JP sent you, BAMMC.com. All right, we want to get into a little Rays news. None of it's good because Sean Murphy, the catcher from the A's that everybody had coming to Tampa Bay that we were trying to work out a deal for, ends up going to where? Atlanta, the Braves.
Of course.
Who have a new stadium and have more money to spend. So that's out. So where's our Mike Zunino has signed with the Guardians.
Yeah, Mike Zunino,
so
1 year, $6 million this morning. So a lot of people said, well, we'll just bring back Zunino. Nope.
Well, clearly $6 million. His price was way too high for the Rays.
I'm being honest with you. It's way too high for me too. So
$6 million is nothing in baseball terms.
Actually, maybe not, because
that's actually
I take that back. I take that back because Mike Zunino is so good behind the plate.
Yes.
It means so much to the pitcher. So that's invaluable.
Yes.
I never thought he was going to hit 30 home runs again, but he did hit 30 home runs the year prior.
Yeah.
So I guess $6 million is really not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
I'm just saying for the Rays standards,
for an experienced, excellent defensive catcher who has a chance to give you some pop, right? A chance. Why would you not sign him for $6 million? Because it's $6 million into the Rays. That's too much. They could find somebody who's just a little bit less. Francisco Mejia. They're always going to go with the C and the B- and C player if it's going to cost them a little bit less. So there you go. So now the Rays are going to go into the season with who? Christian Bethancourt and Francisco Mejia?
I guess. I mean, I'm looking at the free agent market for catchers, and there's nothing there that excites me, really.
Yeah, rarely is there.
I mean, Gary Sanchez, really? Austin Hedges, he's a hell of a defensive player, but he gives you nothing from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah. Good catchers are hard to find. And what is it that the Braves – I just remember looking at the deal saying the Rays have better prospects than that.
The Rays have way better prospects than what was given in this trade. The consensus here is that the A's, for whatever reason, are valuing some of these guys. Teams value guys differently. That's not new.
Well, the Rays especially.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the main consensus here is the A's did not get nearly enough back for Sean Murphy.
Right.
Not nearly enough.
And you would think that the Rays could have given so much more to get a key player like that.
Yes, but they're just they're not
aggressive.
They're just not comfortable doing it. For instance, the number one player they got back in this deal was the Braves' number one prospect, Kyle Muller, a left-handed pitcher. In the Oakland system, he's their 5th best prospect. Okay, that's the difference.
I'm trying to remember. Have we made a legitimate trade since we gave up Joe Ryan?
Yeah, we did Paredes and Meadows.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we gave up Meadows. Well, we were going to give up Meadows because of money. But I mean,
defense,
where we've given up good prospects to get an older player. See, that was the other way around. We got prospects for Meadows, where we gave up prospects to get a player that we thought could put us over the top. I think getting fleeced in that deal has really made the Rays gun shy.
The Nelson Cruz?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, because it's just that's their DNA.
They got
never
got
lose trades like that. They did something that was uncomfortable.
But
and in the end, it frankly did not work out.
No, but here's the thing though.
Or did it? I don't know. I know
he was not good with the Rays.
No,
but,
and it was short term, and now Ryan's going to be a staple in there.
But Nelson Cruz was 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like, if you were going to predict his downturn of his career, isn't that shocking, really?
No, but it just said, they kept saying that when he was 36, 37, 38, and he kept producing.
Well, 40 is a little bit different.
Yeah. It just.
I tell you what, the Braves, I'll give you this. If the Rays want to right or wrong, the Braves don't need a catcher anymore. And now they got Darno sitting there on that roster. I'm just saying, Travis Darno, that's a guy
I'll take him.
He never should have been got out of this building.
Yeah.
He never should have got, but they decided that $8 million was too expensive.
Exactly.
Guy just
always
hits.
Comes down to money.
He's an all-star caliber catcher, and he just hits.
It always comes down to money. You can go find all kinds of free agents that have been here that we just let go that are still hitting.
I'd knock on the Braves' door tomorrow or right now and ask for Travis Darno. In a heartbeat, I'd take him.
But they're not going to. Again, you just didn't give up enough. You didn't give up enough prospects. For that, what prospects are you giving it? I mean, why they don't give up the prospects? Because it makes them competitive, and it keeps them cheap, and that's how they've been able to do it. You're never going to win a World Series.
And this is the problem.
Way,
and I'm starting to see a lot of Rays fans get a bit irritated with the team. And I think that I don't have a problem with that because I'm irritated because it just feels like, and this is what I saw, that the Rays are just playing to get in and see what happens. They're not playing to be that team that's trying to win the World Series.
Yeah.
They're just not. And there's no move they make that tells you they're trying to do that. I mean, I still think it's sad. This is the thing that I saw that is just hard to wrap my head around, that Zach Eflin, who was just introduced as we're speaking right now, as Ray.
It's Eflin. It's not Zach Efron?
No, you're a bit off there. You're a bit off. Sorry.
I thought they were like hiring an in-game host to entertain the fans.
You thought we were getting
thought
we were getting the summer concert series again?
Yeah, like High School. You could do High School Musical numbers all like in between the innings and do a dance out there instead of just having the guy you pay for the grounds crew do the dancing. Like pay a professional entertainer.
Hey, hold up. I don't want the grounds crew guy catching strays from you right now. He's awesome.
No, he's fantastic. But
what's up now?
Do you think the Rays put a little extra in his check? It's because he's an entertainer?
Probably.
Nah.
Okay, come on.
Nah. No, but look at like Zunino. Like he wanted to play here. How many guys can say that? How many?
Zach Eflin wanted to play here.
Yeah.
He did. He chose us over the Red Sox.
Okay, true. Because
and I just was reading some of the quotes.
Has nothing to do with that.
I was just reading some of the quotes.
Green monster, as opposed to the
I was just reading some of the quotes.
Field that nobody can hit in.
I was just reading some of the quotes, and he reached out to Matt Moore. He reached out to Jeremy Hellickson, name I haven't heard in a while, and he reached out to Charlie Morton to get their opinion on Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
and he heard great things from all three of them.
Of course he did. If you're a pitcher, you want to play here.
And decided to come here.
Yeah,
I mean, I appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm just being honest. Like, it's not every day you have guys who are lining up to play for the Rays.
No, I appreciate it. No question about it.
But that being said, though, they gave out, 3 years, $40 million to him, which is the highest they've ever paid for a player. And then I saw that the previous high they ever paid was in 1998. In the inaugural season, they gave Wilson Alvarez 5 years, $35 million. And I'm just sitting here thinking,
it was a head case.
How in the world were you spending more money on players in 1998 than you are in 2022?
Different ownership group.
How is that possible, given the influx of money in baseball?
That wild spending Vince the Mulder. Remember the hit show? Hit show.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't actually. I don't.
Oh, yeah, with Vinny Castilla and Jose Canseco.
Obviously, it didn't work. They won like 65 games.
Who was the other one? Who was it? Greg Vaughn.
Yeah.
Hit show.
Ben Grieve.
Yeah.
I know all the players.
Ben Grieve almost killed my son. Not for a great play by myself. Saved him in a
bad team,
spring training.
But no, my point is, it's like, how is that possible with inflation and all the money that's being spent? You spent more money on a player in 1998.
Well, who's
as a franchise?
For the majority of this franchise's life.
That to me alone should be grounds for dismissal.
We've had two of the worst owners in history in terms of spending money. Two in the worst, and Vince DeMoli and now Stu Sternberg, who won't even pay Mike Zunino $6 million, who won't give up prospects to get Sean Murphy. I mean, are they even trying to win?
No, and I'm getting tired.
I mean,
and I'm honestly.
Do you think Eric Neander and Pete Bendix don't want Sean Murphy, don't want to give up prospects, don't want to pay Mike Zunino $6 million? No, I would suggest that they do, but they're completely handcuffed by whatever this year's ridiculously low payroll budget is.
Yeah, and I'm just
because we can't borrow from future years to pay for players today. We don't have the money, as he has $500 million in cash sitting in an account.
And I'm just trying to go over some of the quotes here, so I'm going all over the place. But I guess Bendix just said that they fully expect to trade JP Feyereisen. I've never really seen a GM come out and actually say we're trading somebody.
We're trading a guy that was really, really good, but we couldn't get him healthy. He's going to take another year, and now we're going to trade him.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see GMs usually come out and say we're trading somebody. But.
No, I don't either, because it kind of doesn't really help your bargaining position.
I hate that, because when he's healthy, he's lights out. But
why? And he makes no money, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we were kind of asking ourselves when we saw that he was getting surgery. We're like, why did he wait so long?
Well, according to the story, they were trying to treat him with stem cells and PRP and everything, and I guess it didn't work. On some people it works, some people it doesn't.
I need to study into why all these Rays pitchers just continue to get hurt, though.
Maybe it's the weird arm angles that they throw from.
I mean, Nick Anderson doesn't throw from some funky arm angle, but he couldn't stay healthy.
But also, when they find and this goes back to the article written by
Tom Verducci,
that, the guys, for instance, they make, I'm trying to think of who it is that has that wicked kind of 3/4 slider from the right side that he throws like 80-90% of the time.
The Chaz Rowe.
Chaz Rowe. And, when I don't think an arm can, and the Rays way is like, this is your most effective pitch. You have a wipeout slider. So we're going to use it from 3 or 4 different angles, but you're going to keep torquing that elbow 90% of the time. I don't think pitchers were made to throw curveballs with that. You're not inverting your elbow. It's the conflict of having to turn your wrist this way with the curveball that creates that torque on the ulnar collateral ligament.
Mm-hmm.
I know this from doing a story with Mike Morgan back in the day. So so that puts stress on the arm, and eventually it's going to crack. So I think that's a fair criticism, but they get great production out of these guys, but they ruin
to sum up all this up, though. And I put this on Twitter. There's just, as much as there are fans who are saying, they're a bit fed up with the front office and they want to see them spend money. I see other people that go, okay, that's true, but if we have to roll with this lineup, it's fine. We'll be okay.
No, it's
and
not.
As I said on Twitter yesterday, I'm not going to let facts get in the way of it. Here are the facts. They scored 1 run in 24 playoff innings. They scored 191 runs less than the prior year. 191.
By my math, that's more than a run a game.
Yeah, I think your math is correct there. And you can tell me they were injured. That's true. You can tell me, Brandon Lau. Listen, Brandon Lau has done nothing in the playoffs. I'm speaking with this team. I'm talking about, what are you going to do for me in the playoffs? I know what you're going to do in the regular season. You're good enough to get to the postseason. But when you get there, what do you have? That's the way I'm looking at with this team. Am I wrong in thinking that way?
Well, what they'll do is they'll go into it with this lineup, and if this lineup doesn't do well, they'll say, "Oh well, we can always add at the deadline. We can always add," and then they rarely do.
Listen, the division, the Yankees are always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Sox, I know they're losing some pieces, but they're improving elsewhere. I think they're going to be better, actually. Toronto's Toronto, and they just spent a lot of money on Chris Bassett. They're going to have a really good rotation. And then Baltimore clearly is on the cusp of something.
Yep.
This is the toughest division to win every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just worry that going with this philosophy, at some point, you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to be able to overcome the injuries I don't know how in the world, if they have all these injuries again, I don't know how in the world they can cope with it. I really don't. And you just telling me
they have no backup plan.
No,
and if you go out and you get 2 or 3 really good major league players,
yes,
and you pay them, okay, and you have to overpay them because the hitters don't want to come to Tropicana Field, right? You have, if you get injuries, you have a fallback plan.
Yeah,
there are more options of good players. Like, we have too many guys that should be in AAA playing in the major leagues.
I don't know if we have too many guys like that in the lineup necessarily. They're just not.
But when
to me, they're just
half of them are
average.
hitting below 220.
I just think a lot of them are average.
So how many times did we put out lineups last year where more than half were hitting below 220?
Because we had so many injuries, and you had to have the Roman Quinns of the world and the Luke Rayleys of the world. And
if you start with a better lineup with more experienced players, and the other players are at AAA, if your experienced players get injured, you can bring up those guys. Those guys should be guys that are coming up in case you get injured.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, what's the battle plan right now for the lineup? If you're going to tell me the battle plan is, we're going to move Brandon Lau to first base, and we're going to put all our eggs in the Josh Lowe basket again, and Josh Lowe may prove me wrong and become the guy they think he is, and that's great. I hope he does. But am I really going to put that risk out there again that he's the guy?
That's what you're banking on. You did it last year.
And that Brandon Lau can play first base effectively, and that Jonathan Aranda is going to step in, and all these. It's just.
It's a lot of ifs and buts.
It's a lot of ifs. It's uncertainty. I just want some proven guys in this lineup.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen. We got TJ Rives coming up at 11:35. We're going to talk some Bucs, and he did the Mississippi State-Alabama game this year, so I had a chance to visit with Mike Leach. So we'll chat with him at 11:35. I want to get to a couple other stories. The portal going crazy. Antonio Greer Jr. is headed from USF to where? UCF.
Antonio Greer is the newest Citronaut in town.
Citronaut. What is this Citronaut? For God's sakes, we're shooting naval oranges to the moon. Is that a Citronaut? So he's leaving USF, and who's staying? And they had a little Twitter fight.
Yeah, I think
folks.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his Twitter here. I think it was Daquan Evans is his name.
Mm-hmm.
He had entered the portal, I think, and he decided to come back. Where is it at? Here it is. Here it is. Antonio Greer committed to UCF, and then
he said it's just business.
Daquan Evans quote tweeted and said, "Come on, what is it? I guess he calls him Nye, N-I-E.
Yeah.
Come on, Nye." And then Daquan said, "I'll never join them people." And then Antonio Greer responded back, "Business is business."
That's a good response.
Yeah, and I think Daquan Evans said, "Nah, man, it's not business. It's deeper than that."
Alex Galesh got some good news in the they got a couple commitments. They were hosting some players this weekend.
Yeah, they got
using Raymond James Stadium as a recruiting tool.
Imagine and it looked cool. Did you see some of the video?
Looked really
there?
Cool. Looked
like
really
where they
cool.
had it and everything. They were up there on like by the pirate ship, I think.
Yeah,
it looked really cool.
Yeah.
And he hosted, I think, 4 guys in, some 4-stars and some 5-stars. So that's his. I'm telling you, that's his valuable trade is recruiting.
Yeah. So that's good. And he got some commitments too, I believe, right?
He got a few commitments in there as well. So both programs making moves right now.
That's good. That's a good start for Alex. Berkeley Prep's Keon Keeley commits to Alabama. Then they have now 8 in the top 30 of ESPN's top 300. 8 in the top 30. Ooh. Shocking development. Tell me about the Gio Reyna story.
It's weird. So I had told you were asking me why Giovanni Reyna's not playing, and there was like all these like rumors that there was something going on between him and Berhalter. And I guess Giovanni Reyna said that Berhalter told him coming into the World Cup, your role is not going to be big here. And Giovanni Reyna, obviously the youngest guy on the team, I guess he acted out poorly a little bit in training sessions and a little bit of a bad teammate.
Mm-hmm.
And that did not help his cause.
Like a brat?
Yeah, a little bit. And he put out some long Instagram thing yesterday.
His father is very proud of that.
Yeah, taking responsibility for that and all that and saying he'll learn and whatnot. But it's just interesting because Greg Berhalter was at this like meeting, I guess, over the weekend. And he didn't name drop Giovanni Reyna specifically, but he said, we had some things going on and, we got close to having to send a player home. Like, it's just a weird thing to say, like after the World Cup's over and we're trying to move past this. And then he kind of just brought it right back to the limelight. And then there was all these stories going out about there was a player vote. And I guess the players voted 13-12 to have him stay and all these things. But then it was later proven that wasn't true. So now there's misinformation flying everywhere right now. Mm-hmm. And who knows there's probably truth somewhere in the middle of this. But long story, it just sounds like there's just something going. There's just obviously a little bit of a dispute here between Gio Reyna and Greg Berhalter. And some people are gonna back the coach, and some people are gonna back the player.
Well, it's one of those things you can't fire the great young talent.
No, it's just.
But you can't kowtow to him either. It sounds like, at least in his apology, that he gets it.
Yes.
So this could be a young player in a growing moment, and that's good. But it doesn't necessarily mean that one or the other has to go.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying it would have been any differently if he had played a bigger role, but Giovanni Reyna is the most creative player, technical player, whatever you want to call it, that the U.S. has. And
that was something that we sorely missed.
Yes, that we sorely missed. And just, to play some of these MLS guys over him just because of I get it, but at the same time, I don't.
You got to
play your best players.
You got to find a way. And he did get a cameo, right? What did he get? Like
very small cameo. Yeah. It's hard to do that with that little time.
Yeah. All right. And then tonight we got a little lightning action for you as the Seattle Kraken come to town, the second place Seattle Kraken.
Excited to see the Kraken tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to see their uniforms. I know what a uniform guy you are. See them in person. Yeah. So the Kraken will be here tonight, and we will we'll be doing our thing there at Amalie Arena tonight. The Lightning have won 10 of 13. They're starting to play some really, really good hockey, and I hope they can string it together tonight and come off to a good start. They had that little bit of a lull against the game they lost the other day. I'm trying to think. They're all running together now. A bad first period to the Red Wings. And, since then, they've played some really, really good hockey. So I expect to see the best of the Lightning tonight. They're really gelling. So it'll be fun to watch that. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Bucs sideline guy TJ Rives going to join us. He did the Mississippi State-Alabama game earlier this year and had a chance to spend some time with Mike Leach. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the Buccaneers. Is there hope for a turnaround after the beatdown in San Francisco? We know our man will have some of the positive signs we hopefully we can point to moving forward. It's not over yet, folks. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah. So call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and the Jeeves Law Group. I want to welcome in our good friend TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy, also does college football, moonlighting on the weekend. We will have fond memories of this man, will we not, TJ? Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Ever since that news has been coming out all weekend long, we were hoping for the best, but fearing for the worst. And what a character. Mike Leach, a treat to be around. I know not everybody's favorite and at times polarizing and would criticize his own players, etc. But for what we do, what a phenomenal individual to deal with the media, etc. And it's a devastating loss, obviously, for Mississippi State, that not only is he not able to coach the bowl game, not only is he hospitalized, but now he's passed away from the cardiac arrest this weekend. We knew something was obviously up when he was not here, JP. You know this, for the contract signing with the ReliaQuest Bowl last Thursday. That I guess on a smaller scale, that raises an eyebrow. And then the news comes out that he had not been feeling well. Possible congestive heart failure is some of the speculation on the weekend. Got very sick Saturday night, Sunday morning, and got transported from Starkville area to Jackson. And if you're not completely familiar, I don't know how familiar you guys are with that, that's about an hour away. So they transported him to a bigger trauma medical center in Jacksonville by ambulance. They may have even airlifted him. I don't know. I'm speaking out of school on that, but that's about an hour away by car. You knew that was not good. And you've just seen the outpouring everywhere from media, fellow coaches, broadcasters, everybody that's been associated here with this. So very sad time, obviously, for them. And then it affects the ReliaQuest Bowl in Mississippi State's mindset on still playing the game 3 weeks from now against Illinois and what might happen. And I don't have any insight on that, but yeah, Mike Leach, a character. There is no doubt. He would sit and talk in his press conferences about dinosaurs and then weave it into ice cream and dessert and then get back to the opponent in the same thought. So it was definitely different with him. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's a throwback to some of the great, characters in college football. Remember the great Bino Cook? Just some great characters, that even announcers and coaches. Coach Bobby Bowden was an incredible speaker, and his charisma was one of the main reasons that he brought Florida State, out of the doldrums, because he was a great recruiter, tremendous recruiter, great character of the game. I'd throw Steve Spurrier in there. It's just these great big personalities that were just larger than life, and Mike Leach was one of them. And by the way, one hell of a good football coach too, right?
Well, everywhere he went, they would have success and be able to throw the ball and throw it a bunch, and 50, 60, 70 attempts a game, not uncommon. He had a kid at Washington, Luke Falk with his name, who threw the ball in a regulation game, and I see Nick nodding his head, threw the ball 70 times in a regulation game at Washington State. And they later went to the Pac-12 title game with Gardner Minshew throwing the ball 55, 60 times every game. So now he's come to Mississippi State and installed that same air raid offense. And they've got a kid named Will Rogers, a Mississippi kid that throws it a bunch, and a bunch of receivers. When I was working that Alabama game, they had 7 receivers in the middle of the year that had already caught the ball 15 times or more. Wow. 7 of them. And so I'm sure now by the end of the year, 5 or 6 of them caught it 50 times or more. So that's just how he has played schematically with offense. Another interesting thing with him, they don't really have a playbook. We went over this, and it's legendary from his Texas Tech days. They essentially have about 8 or 9 sets with 4 receivers, 5 receivers, 1 back, almost never a tight end, but they don't really have plays. They have concepts off of different sets. And at one time, I know he was doing this at Washington State. It was just numbers where he would say number 3. And they would go out in that set, and now it's kind of up to the quarterback and it's up to the receivers on which read. Are they breaking off the routes? Because they legendarily, I still remember this, they legendarily beat Texas as the number 1 team in the country. And Michael Crabtree, the former number 1 pick wide receiver, caught the game-winning touchdown. So they asked him about that play after the game, and he said, hey, we've loved that play forever. That's play 7. We love 7. He goes, play 7 was lucky 7. And they're like, no, there's got to be more to that play. Give us more of the terminology. No, that's play 7. I scored on play 7. We love 7. And so that was Mike Leach, guys.
I know you're talking about all that. And I thought of this quote right here, which I brought up. I don't know if you've heard this one, but this was him talking about like balance in an offense. He said, there's nothing balanced about the 50% run, 50% pass, because that's 50% stupid. This notion that if you hand it to one guy 50% of the time and you throw it to a combination of 2 guys 50% of the time and you're really balanced, then you probably pat yourself on the back and tell yourself that, well, then you're delusional.
I agree. And let's equate another one. Again, we're remembering the fond things in an awful situation. This is awful for that program, his family, that team. But we try to hang on to the happy times. Alyssa Lang is her name. That's from the SEC Network. And JP, I think you might know where I'm going with this. Yeah. She was the sideline reporter on one of their games, which was a win. So obviously you don't do this stuff that we do and joke around after losses. But after a win, she went to him to ask him after the game. And I don't know how it came up about her being engaged, and she's engaged to be married.
For advice, wedding advice.
Okay, so she actually solicited him. So that's how it came up after a win. And she is engaged to Trevor Siekema, who used to be with the Pewter Report, who's now writing for another outlet, and they're in the Charlotte area where she's based. And that 2 minutes of him off the cuff is just gold, folks. Go find it on the internet where he's talking about elope. He's standing there. Okay, so you played it already. Forgive me. I haven't been able to hear it. Where he's standing there going, you got to go elope. And he goes, let me tell you, you're going to have family members that are going to give you, he goes, but ignore that and just do it. Yes, and he goes, it was great. And I read something else online. You should go look this guy up. John Cannizzaro is his name. From Portland. He does radio, he does TV, he also writes for the Portland Oregonian, and he talked about talking with Leach for 2 hours in a conversation that meandered on the record and off the record about the Pac-12 North, about swords, like actual swords that you use and joust with, dinosaurs, the law, his law degree in the law. He goes, it was just amazing that we went for 2 hours about everything. There's the pirate. There's the mad scientist, Mike Leach, a real character. Very sad for all of this that he is gone at only 61 to be gone.
Yeah, and he, I think he had some heart problems throughout his life, and just and that was battling pneumonia for the last. But he goes out with a win as an underdog, beating his chief rival in the Egg Bowl. How about that?
Well, right. And you have a legacy, obviously, of 3 different places where you've won. And I know he's not devoid of controversy, players transferring out of his programs. Craig James' son, and Craig James very famously sued him and lost, by the way. Yeah. Leach I still remember this. Leach had a famous comeback about the whole situation, because one of the things he had done, because Craig James's son had a concussion, and they were very concerned about him being out in the sunlight at practice or whatever. And he was not wanting to be outside. And so I still remember something about this. He put Craig James's son in like a shed out on the practice field, and they made sure that they could turn up the amplification of his megaphone, Leach's megaphone, where he said, something sarcastically to the effect of, the kid is still getting the benefit of hearing me go over the offense, whether he's in the sunlight or not when he's in the shed. And of course, that was in the lawsuit, and that was kind of his defense about that. So Leach was different.
He was.
He will be missed. He will be missed as somebody in a world where coaches love to say nothing, where coaches love to give you stock answers. That was not him, right, JP and Nick? You were going to get what was on his mind, even about his own team. Very famously in a game earlier this year, he was mad about the receivers and their routes that they were running on play 3 or play 6 or whatever play it was. And that they weren't catching the ball. He went over and folded up all of their folding chairs they sit on. Have you seen this meme, this video? And he's throwing all of their folding chairs down as the head coach before they came off the field. And that's because his line was to the media after the game, for all the missed assignments, bad routes, and bad passes, you don't deserve to sit down on the sideline after that. And he folded all their chairs up so they couldn't sit down.
It was so funny because there was like an assistant manager, like six chairs behind him, was just like shyly like putting him back up as he put the he's like he didn't want to get too close to him. As he slowed down, he'd be like, and he'd wait.
Okay. Right. That was Mike Leach. What a character. He will be missed, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Well, you were out in San Francisco for what not be a memorable homecoming.
Oh, are you trying to cheer me up to bring that game up a couple of days later? Is this to make me feel better? I don't know.
Well, we bring you on to give us some hope and show us a way to, a path to the playoffs and a turnaround for us. Look, if this team were to somehow pull a Seattle, or a Carolina, I guess back in the day, Greg Olson was talking about this on the broadcast, where they started 3-8, I think, and then they came back into the division at 7-8-1, and then won a playoff game. And you remember that team they were under 500, they won a playoff game. Okay, great. Go do that with Tom Brady. Get a playoff win. And as I recall, that Dan Marino. Remember Dan Marino in his last season went out to Seattle, I think it was, against all odds with a bad Miami team. They made the playoffs. They won it, and they got just destroyed, I think, the next week by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But
right, correct.
At 45-0 or whatever the hell that was. We remember him in that one game that he just played out of his mind in a playoff game and will the bad Miami team go play. That's what I remember as a Dolphin and Marino fan. I think that was my last memory of him as a player. I don't even remember that debacle at the end. So go do that, and I'll be tickled pink.
Well, look, and I heard some of you guys yesterday, and the venom is everywhere, and rightfully so. I mean, they were embarrassed, and the quarterback used the word embarrassed. It was bad on Sunday. But you still have a pathway to get to the postseason. So in my position, I come on with you all the time. I work for the team. They sign my check. You think I don't want a playoff check? I got twin 14-year-olds. I got the holidays. I got college fund. I got all kinds of issues in my household. I want the playoff check. So we will take the playoff check if you can get there, if you can make it. You guys raised some very good points that you got to show life. You got to show fight. The thing that disturbed me the most at field level, and Todd Bowles will admit this to you right now as well, you're in the 13th game of the season, and guys are not communicating in the secondary and turning receivers loose. Yeah. You are in the 13th game of the season, and you can't get people blocked that are supposed to get blocked. And unfortunately, as you guys have brought up, we may be seeing this. This is not blasphemous. This is just what we're seeing. You're seeing a 45-year-old quarterback, and you're seeing what happens when you're 45 in the NFL and you can't throw it the way that you could even throw it last year when you were 44. He's not making the throws the same way. And they're open guys, like you guys were documenting and everybody's documenting, that the ball's not there. And that's on him. I mean, he doubled over 2 or 3 times at the waist, like, I've got to make that throw. And I was standing right there in the press conference after the game, and you guys played some of the press conference with the expression on his face and talking to the media, et cetera. And he said, I'll clean it up. That's a crappy throw to Mike Evans on the 4th down. I've got to be better. And he was blunt. We got our asses kicked, but they're a very good team. He's not used to that. He's not used to standing there and saying, we're down, 28-0, 35-0. So, okay, all of that being said, and I know you got to go in a minute or two, you still have a chance here with 4 to go to get a couple of wins and find your way in. I keep saying on the FanStream JP show, 8 likely is enough, Dick Van Patten. Yes. 8 is likely enough. 9 is definitely going to be enough. Now, you got to win 3 of the last 4. Yeah. You got to win the first one this week with Cincinnati, but you got to get at least to 8 and then have the chance. And we'll see against a good Cincinnati team, but they have some vulnerability too on the offensive line. I know Alex Kappa's there now, but their offensive line is giving up sacks, giving up trouble. Can the Bucs secondary cover Chase and those guys? with what we saw last week. They miss Antoine Winfield in the back end. They absolutely do, guys. So you got to get some things figured out, but you still have opportunities in front of you, starting with a game with Cincinnati, that if you win this, you're back on track at 7-7 to basically win one more game to probably win the division. 2 games. Nick, you feeling me? Still is going to get this done. If you are 8-9, you probably win it. If you're 9-8, you're going to win the South.
Yeah, I think they already did like the math on it. It's like as long as they win the last 2 against Carolina and Atlanta, you'd be 5-1 in the division, and you would own the tiebreaker then over Carolina. No matter what, you'd get in.
Yeah.
So you're almost.
But I saw that. But that predicates one thing: that if Carolina or Atlanta wins out right now, they can get to 9 wins now, and they do not play each other the rest of the year. So theoretically, both of them, as asinine as this sounds to even say, could still win out and get to 9 wins. So you got to get to 9 in a tiebreaker if they do that. What you're saying is a tiebreaker at 8 wins, where the Buccaneers beat the Panthers and win the final game with Atlanta. All ties break the Buccaneers' way.
Yeah.
For an 8-win tiebreaker with those teams. Correct.
Right. So, and I hope they don't read that, because then they'll know that we don't have to win our next 2 games.
You don't look, we know the truth. You don't want to be in Atlanta with anything riding on it with the Falcons playing a road game in that situation, winner take all type game to go to the playoffs.
Heck no.
You want to go ahead and take advantage of this weekend. Take advantage of that Arizona team that now they've confirmed it's an ACL for Kyler Murray. If they haven't, they're going to coming up, and he's out.
He's done.
So Colt McCoy's the backup. Here we go again with backup quarterbacks against the Buccaneers. But you're playing them on Christmas night, injured, beat down. Did I see this? They are 1-12 in their last 13 home games straight up. They're 1-12 at home in their last 13 home games.
Wow.
Going back to last year. So they're vulnerable. Let's don't get greedy. Just beat the Bengals, and let's see where this team is at 7-7 going to Arizona. But if we're putting Christmas wishes together under the tree, you don't want to be in Atlanta with the playoff spot riding on the Falcons, Bucs, winner take all in Atlanta. We'll see.
Heck no. All right, partner, we'll let you go. Appreciate your time as always and your insight on Mike Leach. And we will remember him fondly, and hell of a dude. And I hope Mississippi State plays in the game, and they play for Mike Leach, and they have a nice memoriam and honor him, and go out there and just play their asses off. And I think that would be a great.
I know we got to go, but just real quick, they had a player earlier this year, a walk-on offensive lineman, took his life, and that affected them greatly. And now you've had the coach horrifically get ill and die. Will that galvanize them, especially for the seniors that are maybe playing your final football game ever if you don't go to the NFL? It might. So stay tuned. We don't know. It's fluid. Stay tuned on what's going to happen with Mississippi State.
Let the players have the say in this. Absolutely.
Yes.
They should have the play in it. Have a team meeting, have a vote, do whatever you can. But I just feel like, they're football players. They want to play football. They're going to a nice bowl game. I think they would be cheated by not getting that experience, to honor their coach, go out.
And for closure, yes.
Closure
to honor him one more time, you would get that chance. And it's 3 weeks from now. If the bowl game was Saturday, you would understand.
Yeah.
But you've got 3 weeks. Let's see what they do. And it's always good to be with you guys.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it. The great TJ Rives. Follow him on Twitter at Bucs Sideline Guy. All right, we got just a few minutes left here if we want to get into any other stories here that we missed today. We didn't get to any of the sound today. I feel bad about that, because is there any of these sound bites from Brady last night that you want to hit?
Yeah, we can kind of play the first one here, which was him kind of taking accountability for some of the mistakes he made.
Okay.
Play this one.
It's from the Let's Go podcast. So
tough loss. Tough loss on the road. Just didn't do anything the way that we needed to win. Very physical team, number 1 defense in the league. We lost time of possession, lost turnover margin, lost penalties. I was responsible for 2 of the turnovers that were terrible throws. I missed Mike open in the end zone for a touchdown, missed Scotty down the field. So, just look at myself and realize I got to do a lot better than that in order to win. It was a tough loss, long flight home, shitty night's sleep, as you would expect. So just dealing with it today, and going to try to try to move on to, as all these weeks are, they get to be short weeks when you're this time of the year. But, just going to keep battling.
I like the fact that he really, really took specific blame for that. I think that's going to sit well with his teammates. I don't, and I'm nitpicking here, but I think that that's been a little lacking. When I asked him earlier this year about what happened on that 2-point conversion when the quarterback's responsible for the play clock. Whether it was 20 or 25 seconds, he's got to know better and he's got to be better. That's why you get Tom Brady. And to not really take any, real blame for that, I thought was a missed opportunity. But I think Mike Evans is going to appreciate that. I think a lot of his teammates are going to appreciate that he's taken that a little bit more head on than maybe he was. He also mentioned that the penalties are just killing the Bucs, and it's so true. It's so true. I don't think we talk enough about this, to be quite honest. It's just in this game, it's so tight. You can't give up scores. You can't give up first downs with stupid penalties.
Yeah, and by the way, I wanted to bring this stat up I saw yesterday real quick. Where is it here? About Donovan Smith. I don't know if you got a chance to see this. He's been dinged for a league high 6 holding penalties this year. 3 of them nullified touchdowns on those 6. 36 other players have at least 3 holding penalties on the season. There were only 3 total nullified touchdowns on those 123 holding calls.
Brutal.
That's brutal.
For a team that's only scored 17 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. 3
of them have been taken off the board. I mean, that's a big deal. When you're not scoring and
Game
you're doing
changers.
that. And it's not just those, it's drive killers too, that are just drive killers. Of those 6 penalties, 3 negated touchdowns and 3 probably killed drives and, put you in 3rd and 10, which we haven't made all year. So, I mean, it's brutal. And, poorly coached teams commit a lot of penalties. That's been my experience. And this is a poorly coached team. All right, we will say goodbye for now. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be we have a special show for you. Fred McGriff, Hall of Famer, is going to join us at 9 o'clock. So we're going to start the show live at 9 o'clock tomorrow with Fred McGriff. We may have some other of his former teammates phoning in as well. We're working on that. Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So join us a little bit early tomorrow. We're going to be live at 9 and go till 11. And then we'll, obviously, if you join us at 11 o'clock, you'll be able to get here at the first part of the show. So you can do that on our app. You can do that on Twitter. You can do that on YouTube and Facebook as well. And our website, fanscreamsports.com. So you can check it out all. But special start time tomorrow, 9 o'clock, with the great Fred McGriff, newly minted Hall of Famer. So that's going to be fun. So we'll talk to you then. Great job, Nick Geddes. Our thanks to TJ Rives for joining us. And we'll see you tomorrow. Go Bolts tonight.